Oh, okay.
Deze is hartstikke awesome Jeff.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. Let's do this, guys. And we are excited to bring on a special guest, a great winner from this weekend, winning her first overall title as an adult, winner of the Amerikick Internationals, Maria. I'm going to say this right. Rotel Ferguson. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
And claps to Jeff for getting that right. What do people usually say if they get it wrong, Maria? What do they usually say?
They'll usually just say one last name. Like I know in Juventus, they originally just put Maria Ferguson, and they announced Caitlin Rutel Ferguson when I won, which was kind of funny. So
Wait, what did they say?
Caitlin Rutel Ferguson. They combined me and Caitlin's names.
Yeah, Caitlin Vaughn, because that's who she was
Yeah.
competing against. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Lee says, hey.
Hi, Lee.
Awesome. So, Maria, so share just about your weekend. You had a busy weekend, and exciting one. So first off, before, where are you from and who do you represent?
I'm from Florida, and I'm on the Amerikick Internationals team.
Wait,
Awesome.
you can't just say Florida. Where in Florida?
Fleming Island, so it's like in between Jacksonville and St. Augustine.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, all right. So how is this like, take us through your weekend, because you were involved in, of course, you and Samantha do an amazing job and have been very successful this year with your traditional weapons. So you guys start out doing that and you go into all your other weapons and forms divisions, and you're all over the place. So tell us how it was.
Oh, I started my weekend with Team Sync with my friend / teammate Samantha. I've known her since I was like 8 or 9. So I'm really excited to do Team Sync with her this year. And then I did all of the CMX weapons division, and I won my first weapons division as an adult. And then I did creative forms, and that wrapped up my Friday. Saturday morning, I ran trad weapons, and then I had trad weapons grand runoffs, and then I had Team Sync weapons runoffs, which was the first time that Samantha and I had won weapons grand championship for Team Sync. And then at night, I had the CMX weapons overall.
So it's huge moment. Just and when we'll get into what my weekend was like too, it was like that as well. It was like a lot of, all right, win this and then go and do another runoff, then do another runoff and do another runoff. It was a lot. So you won a lot of firsts from this weekend at Amerikick, right?
Yeah, I competed in 2 overalls. Both were my first overalls as an adult. And then Sam and I won for the first time. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. So what does it feel like having that happen? Of course, you're first, but also being, at your team's event as well.
I was really excited. It was nice to have like all of my teammates there for my first time to be on stage as an adult and my first overall as an adult. It was also really nice to win Team Sync the overall for the first time at our tournament, because we're representing Amerikick, and we had like all of our teammates and all of our coaches were there. It was really nice to feel like the support, and there was some people like Shane Billow and Allie were there, and I hadn't seen them in a while, so that was nice to like win with them there.
Yeah, so this year going into Amerikick, I haven't been there since it was in Philly. So this is my first time going back to Atlantic City, which is crazy because the time before that was 2001 for me. Okay. So, but everything was almost the exact same. The the hotel and everything. And I even went upstairs and went to around the ballrooms because that was where we competed back in the day. It wasn't at the convention center until later. And so, and I'll share with you some of those things as well, Alex. But it was like flashbacks of when I was 16, 17 competing there the first time. But yeah, it was a great event. What was cool is seeing people that I grew up with, like Chris Millers, like Alex Davidov, who are still a part of Amerikick and are very involved in everything going on, right? So it was really cool to just see that, right? And then just it's cool to see like the emergence of like the Likert family's crew and Russo's crew and everything getting together. I think they do probably the best job of joining together teams, So how does that feel as far as David Clifton as well? Amazing seeing David Clifton as well. But how does that feel to just be a part of Amerikick, Team Amerikick?
I love being on their team. I did traditional forms for a while, and I love training with the Likers. I love the Liker family so much. I started doing creative forms with Vince Little. I also love him so much. He's such an amazing coach, and he's so supportive. They're both all of the American family is very nice and accepting, and they've become like a second family to me. All of my teammates are like my siblings because I don't have any siblings myself, but I love them all like very, very much.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, I mean, dude, we've had Vince on the show. Vince is a cool dude, man, and he's a great coach. He is always one of those guys that's trying to be right there with you, especially, and especially not just, all right, you're an adult now, go on, do your own thing.
He
They
just has
continue.
a different coaching style and teaching style, which is very unique. And I'll say, I think, and Maria, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but so right now, you haven't personally experienced a lot of good coaching and a lot of bad coaching, because sometimes bad coaching is hard to recognize if you don't know what bad coaching is. And I think Vince just has a lot of success. I think his style breeds success in competitors, his coaching and teaching style. I hope you didn't get offended by what I said right there. It's a good thing that maybe you don't have a lot of experience of bad coaching. That's a good thing. You can see it and go, that's a stupid thing to say. Don't say that to that person, right? Sometimes we can experience it that way, which I would rather do,
So Maria, as far as being involved in everything at the tournament, what were some of the, of course, obviously competing on stage with Caitlin Vaughn was a big deal. But what were some of the best divisions that you watched or you got to witness this weekend?
I loved watching 17 under runoffs. I especially liked Carter and John, my teammates. They both won their respective runoffs, and I was really proud of them. My teammates Bella and William are in the 13 and under division, and I always love watching them, and Hugo. I love watching, especially like 14 to 17, some people that aren't my teammates, like Jada and Jaden on Team Revolution. I always love watching them. They're also from Florida, and I kind of grew up with them, so I love watching them perform. They're both excellent martial artists. I love watching that division.
Yeah,
it's go ahead, Jeff. I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, I mean it's intense. The overall runoffs. I mean the CMX runoffs. Any of the runoffs for that 14 to 17. Every single person, you just don't know from tournament to tournament who's going to get it, right? And a lot of people, of course, you have, who was on the show recently, Judah, who's out there killing it, and he just brings that level up for everyone else to bring it up as well, too. And so John was on fire this weekend. It was awesome seeing him just go after it, winning his grands and forms over the weekend. You also have like Noah Noah Sensei, one of his overall weapons. So, and then, those guys are just killing it. The same thing. You have great competitors all around, being successful, and it's just a cool vibe, especially the finals. How everyone in Amerikick just tries to hype everybody up, even if they're not on their team or not.
So you brought up a few interesting things, Maria. You brought up kind of like what you were excited about watching and who you were watching. We all end up doing a lot of what you just said. All right. You're going to be fully focused on your divisions and the people you're likely going to have to compete against. And then there's the people you came there with, people who are on your team, and you're like, all right, well, I'm gonna go watch yada da da. Let's all right. We're in rooming together, or we're on the same team, or we flew on the plane together. We're from the same school. You want to watch them. You want to see them compete. And then there's those others that really have no affiliation with you, but you were like, man, I gotta see them. Who is that for you? Someone that you really don't have any affiliation with, not from your school, not even from your area, not on your team, but you pay attention to, and it just makes you go, I'm going to watch this person this weekend at some point. Who is that for you?
A lot of the Leclerc girls in 13 and under, I really enjoy watching them because all of their routines are really fun and they have some really interesting tricks in them. And yeah, I would say all of the Leclerc girls in 13 and under. I really enjoy watching them.
That's fun. That's a good one. Yeah, and they had a big weekend.
I didn't think you were going to say that. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say, man, I'm really excited to see 13 and under. That's different.
Well, that's because you're 40 and you're old. You're old, Alex. That's because,
Yeah, but at one point, Jeff, I was 22 and I was out there and I could, no. I think the only person like 13 and under I might have really wanted to watch was like Rudy or Matt.
Yeah, Rudy was always good at that age, and Matt, yeah.
That was it. Like, we're talking two legends, right?
I watched a lot of the younger guys. So, all right. So, Maria, tell us about what you do outside of sport martial arts. All right.
So I do a lot of theater. For college, I'm planning on majoring in lighting design for theater, but I also do acting and singing. I recently closed Percy Jackson, where I played Clarice in the musical. And I was also recently cast as Zeidel in Fiddler on the Roof, which is in November, ? I think. And I'm also the president of my drama club's troupe.
Okay. Maria. Wow. I want you to hear this. I am extremely proud of you that you are going in that route. Right? I have been saying this so often that when you go, okay, have you gone to AKA Warrior Cup in the last few years? Just curious. And when you are at the finals, what is a common theme said over and over? Just curious.
The night show is really impressive.
Impressive, but typically what people mention is this person does these stunts and this person does stunts for this, and they're doing stunts. How about just be the actor, right? And so much of what we do is just head down, be an introvert, and then just completely kill it physically. But sometimes introverts, that's not me, right, are the best true performers. Maria, you strike me as an introvert. Would you classify yourself as that?
No.
Okay, if you're not, I could be wrong, right? But I've always said, like, listen, yeah, acting's hard, right? But you know what? So is being a black belt, right? So is being a national competitor. So is being a champion. So is being a grand champion. Like, yeah, it's really hard to do. And yeah, it's cutthroat. And yeah, there's going to be some stuff that like you're just not going to get. How about give it a try? You know, and I gotta tell you, I'm proud of you. I'm proud that you're doing that. why not be the person who's the main person to look at, regardless of how big the theatrical performance is? Because I've done some local theater performances, and there's a lot to be excited about. And it's also a lot of freaking work. I'm not giving you any news, right? Speak a little bit more about some of the stuff that you do, and you mentioned some of the things that you're in, but how long have you been doing this? And what would you aspire to do? And what's it like?
I did my first show, I think, in 5th or 6th grade, and it was at my elementary school. And it kind of gradually turned into me going into community theaters and then eventually high school. Community theater rehearsals are typically from 7 to 10, a couple times a week until the weeks leading up to the performances. I do mostly musicals if I'm performing in them because I find musicals a lot more enjoyable. I think the first musical I did at a community theater was SpongeBob, oddly enough. And I had a lot of fun. I find theater, like a lot of people who do theater, a lot of people who do karate would excel in theater, I feel like, because it's still performing.
Right.
And it has helped me with both because you're still playing a character for karate, but you're also playing a character for theater. So I feel like it helped a lot with my confidence. Specifically with Lightning Thief, because Clarice is the daughter of Ares. I also got to choreograph it, so I did some bow staff in it. Yeah, I was really excited about that role. That's probably my favorite role that I've played.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Don't say that again.
Oh, stop.
Don't say bow staff. Say bow. Say staff. Don't say bow staff. That's like
Jackson says, yes, I know. But Jackson says it all the time, so everyone thinks it's okay. All right.
Why? Anyway. No, but I love everything you said, Maria. Everything you said was fantastic. And I think you're right. I'm over here, for those just listening, I'm over here throwing my hands up like, yes, a lot of martial artists really would excel in theater. That's what especially on the form side, that's what we do. That's what we're doing. We're trying to do that. And in some ways, I did not excel in theater. I just want to be straight when I say this. I think some ways the martial arts, like the forms, the performance there is harder, right? Because you're only trying to accomplish this one message, this one goal, this one way. And 40 other people in this division are trying to do the exact same thing, the exact same way. And you have to be perfect in order to sniff the top 3. It's not like that in theater. It's an interpretation, right? It's your delivery. How entertaining can you be? Can you make the audience see your performance? And there's a lot of martial artists over the years that would have been fantastic. Who's somebody you think would have been great or would be great right now, Maria? Let's drop some names.
I know someone who is really good at theater who also does karate, Kaylin Kowalski. I know she was in a production of Cabaret recently. So I talked to her a lot about the process of auditioning and being in shows at the same time as training.
No, you're right on. Yeah. Kaylin's got that personality. I like David was mentioning, he said Wayne Douglas and Taylor Lautner. Yeah, they were phenoms, right? But at the time, like Taylor Lautner obviously went on to do major things in major, box office cinema, and Wayne Douglas didn't reach that level, but he was in show business for quite a while. But there was a lot of guys who were just as good as them in the competition world that they really could have done something like that too. Who's somebody else who maybe is not right now, but or maybe you think could, or like years ago, like, oh, this person would have been great if they would have?
Probably William. William's on the Amerikick Internationals team. He's, I think, in the 10-11 division. He's got this cute little smile. He's got big eyes. He's very he has big personality, and I feel like he would excel in theater.
That's
Um,
awesome.
he has like these big eyes, which are really important in theater. He's very assertive. He's loud. He can perform well. I think William would be good at it.
That would be good.
You think
Also, Alex,
I
Alex,
I gotta ask this
stop.
question.
Alex, stop for a second. Stop.
All right, fine.
Another person that would be good would be someone we had on the show recently as well. I think Michael Molina would be good. That personality he has would be huge, right? I think that would be good as well. Yeah. So
I was gonna ask that. I was about to ask that. What do you think, Maria? You think he would?
I agree. Michael would be excellent.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's just certain people that just have that it factor, and you go, and you don't even have to do nothing but like stand in line with them at Starbucks, and you go, you got it. Right? Here's the question. Do you think, Maria, do you think Jeff would be good at theater?
sometimes.
I think yes. I think anyone who does martial arts could be good at theater if they wanted to.
I asked about anyone who does martial arts. I asked about Jeff Goss.
I think he could because you do CMX, and CMX competitors often you have to try new things, you have to put yourself out there, and a lot of with acting is you have to make choices that not necessarily everyone is going to like. You go to audition and you could crack on a high note or you could go flat, and CMX you could drop, you could fall, and it's very similar with risk reward. So I think yes.
I think Jeff would. I think the thing that you do that's different from a lot of people, and maybe I think it's different and I don't know, is when you say you do musicals a lot. Like, listen, if there's 10 people singing in the room, I am the 12th best. Right?
Same.
Say it like that. Okay. So if I have to figure out what note it is, I don't know what a note is. I have no idea how to hit one. You could say, oh, it's a A. I don't know what the heck. I don't know how to make that sound. I don't know what that is. Right. And I think maybe do you think that's what keeps people from getting in theater? The fact that some might have to sing, because I probably wouldn't be that great if that's what I had to do.
I think yes, singing is very scary for some people, especially like once you get in the rehearsal process, when you get handed sheet music and people start talking about measures. I remember my first music rehearsal, I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know where we are in the music. But I feel like a lot of it is music, learning to singing is a taught skill. It's not immediately like some people have more natural talent than others, but singing is a taught skill. It's kind of like some people are more natural at flipping than others in martial arts, or more natural at tricking in martial arts than others, but tricking can always be taught to anybody. It's kind of the same process with singing.
All right. I like it.
Wow.
So my
I can't totally agree with what you said there. You said tricking can be taught to anybody.
Yeah, if there's certain mental blocks, like there's mental blocks in singing, but tricking could be taught to anyone if they worked hard enough. I kind of believe the same thing with singing.
I do. Listen, I do agree with that. There are a lot of people that are over 30 that do martial arts that are never going to go upside down. I'm not saying anything bad.
That doesn't mean
You don't look at me like I just told everyone that they were fat or something. No, I'm not saying that. All right.
Choice. Some people choose to only do plays. Some people choose to only do traditional and only do the creative divisions. That doesn't mean you can't do karate. That doesn't mean you can't act. That just means you're making a choice to focus on one thing.
Well, now this is a great point. This is very good. That's very true. Okay. So congratulations again on your wins. And outside of martial arts, I'm always really excited to celebrate and champion people who are excelling outside of the sport of this. Listen, we have a big arena as far as like distance, all right? But anybody who excels past that, because we have a small arena in terms of like numbers of people, I want to champion them. When's the next time? When's a time someone might see you in a theatrical performance, and where would they see you?
Ooh, I gotta remember dates.
You got that many, huh?
No, I'm trying to remember. I think Fiddler on the Roof is the next one, and it's at the Island Theater in November.
Fiddler on the Roof. We all know this one. This will be cool. What do you play?
I'm playing Zeidel, the oldest daughter.
Okay. This is cool.
Awesome. Awesome. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to hearing more about that. Maria, awesome job. And thank you so much for sharing about your life and what you enjoy about. And keep up the great work. Congrats on just your first wins. You know, a big weekend, especially during your first year as an adult competitor. Keep it up. And will we see you at Diamonds? As that will be the next NASCA one for you? Awesome. Awesome. Looking forward to that. You will see both of us there. And keep doing what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's cool, man.
All right.
Did you notice that when I asked her if you would be good, did you know if you would be good in theater? She said yes. But for those listening, she was, her head was straight ahead the whole time. And then the moment I asked her that, she went, and tilted her head to the side. Like, well,
I don't know. I think I'm a little too insane for that. I may just, look crazy. I mean, I did theater as
about me because I
in
knew
high school.
She would just be like, would you be good at theater? No, you would not.
I just love how you continue to ask her the same questions when she already told you the answer several times.
I was asking them different ways.
Okay, Alex. Whatever, man. You drive me nuts sometimes.
Hey,
it's okay. All right. What's up? So,
5 years, brother.
Yeah, I know. That was last week. Pretty crazy. 5 years.
I thought that was a fantastic show. I'm so I was literally so happy. I was probably ear to ear smile like the whole next day that Travis was there.
Yeah.
And that he had all those things.
That was cool.
That was cool. So I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, I had several
right there fueled me for another weekend. Right there.
Yeah, I had several people come up to me and say congrats and that they love the show. David Bostonet came up and said congratulations on 5 years, and I almost forgot what he was talking about. I'm like, oh yeah. And so it was cool, man. So
because you have to compartmentalize so much. I don't have to compartmentalize this much. You have so many things. It's so much harder for you because in martial arts, you are so many different people. Maybe you would be very good at theater, Jeff. Why am I? No, I'm being serious. You have to be so many different types of Jeff all the time. I don't think that's saying that. I think that's 100% right on. You don't just have to be Jeff Doss. You have to be Inside Scoop Jeff Doss. You have to be Grand Slam Martial Arts Jeff Doss. You have to be Team Revolution Jeff Doss. You have to be 18 plus competitor Jeff Doss. You have to be 30 plus competitor. It doesn't end. Weapons competitor Jeff Doss. And a lot of people have to do little things like that. I think you might have of all the competitors. I've been thinking about this for quite a while, Jeff. I think of all the competitors that one will see in a competition weekend, you will have some of the most stressful weekends.
Yeah, it was kind of like that this weekend.
So much, man.
Yeah, it was like that this weekend. Yeah, definitely for me. I didn't do as many private lessons as I normally do this weekend. So there's that too. The coach, the coach for Revolution, but also the coach for students. But yeah, it seems like each weekend, each tournament, I'm trying to cut down on divisions so that way I can save myself and everything like that and rest. And then I end up still doing more and more forms than every weekend. It makes no sense. So this weekend, I cut down to 5 divisions. And
Freak.
2 of those divisions, I was the only person, right? So you would think, all right, so I only had to do, a certain amount. I still ended
Okay.
up doing I should have done 13 forms this weekend if I would have added those 2 performances back in. I still did 11 forms. So like I did 3
Crazy.
forms for Korean Challenge on Friday. I didn't have my other 2. No one was in the 40 plus creative style. So the next morning I did my 40 plus traditional forms, win that. Go and do both grands for the 30 plus, the weapons and the forms grands. Then after that, trying to figure out how they're going to do this 40 plus overall everything grands. And while that's happening, figuring out, and they finally decide what they're going to do, which again, thank you, Amerikick, for doing something like that and putting, the 40 plus competitors on stage and giving the extra cash. That was an awesome thing.
Yeah.
But then I go and run over, do Korean, win that, go back, do this runoff to get into the stage, then do the runoff for the traditional to get into the stage, then 2 more performances. So, and I think what's stressful is that it goes the whole time, but also just not sure of if we will do a runoff or not, how many are they taking, that kind of thing. I think it's the hardest part right now about NASCA, and being a competitor that does all the different age groups is that right now. So that would be for me an improvement to work on, at least to know in the beginning of the tournament.
Yeah.
Again, if every term was the same, that would be great. But at the same time, I get how some tournaments want to highlight certain things. So
Yeah.
let's just let us
Understandable.
know in advance. I think that would be a good thing as well for everybody. But yeah, I mean, I got 5 first places this weekend, 2 grand championships, and 2 runner ups. So I cannot complain.
That's a big
I
win. That's
had an
good.
awesome week. So
Do you
so
think
it was
I want to stay talking about you for a second. Do you
okay.
think that, let's say, sake of conversation, you did 3 divisions? That's it. So you did like Korean, you did a weapon, and then 30 plus, right?
Right.
You just that. That's all you did. Do you think your body would know how to adapt to that? Do you think your body would just be like, wait a second, I'm not used to this much sitting still? Right? Because when you're in,
It's not sitting
I
still
don't know.
though.
I'm asking.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like there's not sitting still because you're trying to figure out, like we went at 8:15 for traditional forms, right?
Yeah.
And then I was thinking the grands was going to go right after, and they fluffed up, like they went and did the fighting right after instead of doing the grands. So I didn't go again till 11. So, but that whole time I'm staying warm, I'm trying ready,
Yeah.
and I don't know if they're going to do grands or if they're going to go right into Korean, like because they just went ahead with the other stuff. So it's just a lot of, and then you also have me run around to cheer on all the team, checking on things with this and that. I'm
That's the
also,
most exhausting part.
yeah, I'm also helping
That is
promote a
100%
tournament.
the most
So
exhausting part.
so it's a lot, and then people have things to ask me and have questions, and
They want to
there's a lot going on with it. And then I mean, one of the coolest things this weekend was certain people come up and asking me like, how do I still do it? And how am I getting better? So I'm shooting a
Both of
lot of
those
people.
things don't make sense.
I'm shooting a lot of people information on how to, talk with Ross and get on board with Ross's program. Then I'm talking to some people about my health and going to natural health doctors and things like that I do, and my resting and my nutrition and things that I do that I focus on. The mindset of training harder but less, not as long hours like I used to when I was younger, things like that. So and then just the mindset towards martial arts. It's cool when certain people say that I inspire them because I'm still going and getting better and trying to be the best I can. So it's just a blessing to me to be able to do that. So but yeah, I mean, overall, man, I tell you, this weekend was a lot of fun. Again, like I said, getting there, one of the first things I wanted to do was go see Chris Milleras, go see Alex Davidov, because I knew they would be judging a lot, so I wasn't going to be able to see them much.
That's cool.
One of the coolest things was, so they had us for the overall, grands for the seniors on stage. And, again, this another second weekend in a row of Tim Conquo and I winning the 30+ overall grands. He won weapons. I won the forms. Then getting to do the 40+ all around grand. It was cool because Chris Milleris was the commentator, and he just shared a lot of things on the intro when I walked in, and the ending when I walked in, when I won, of just about my legacy in martial arts, and he said, which most people wouldn't have, he said, from Team Elite to CJB and now Revolution, just a legend in the sport. And it was just really cool to hear things like that. Right. So
see, now that's really good to have somebody like that who has a good pulse as to what current competition is and has the knowledge and the history of what martial arts competition has been, and relatively knows most of the competitors that are going to be there. That's a good competitor. Right. That's why I think it was this year, all right, when I was watching Reed Presley at AKA. It was this year. I thought Reed Presley did a really good job, but I'm not sure Reed Presley would know all that info. Like if he were to say that about somebody else, right? And I don't want to say that he won't, because Reed Presley is, if there's a Hall of Fame in sport, martial arts competition, he's in, you know what I mean? Right. And he's accomplished everything he's accomplished 10 times over, and he's smart. But listen, someone like Chris Morales, he's been around a long time, still around, still has a pulse on it. That's really awesome that he was in a position like that. Listen, at one point, it's cool. It will pass him by, just like it will pass me by. I used to think one of the best announcers on the microphone to do something like that was Dennis Brown. Dennis Brown has, his event just happened, like not even a month ago, just like a few weeks ago. Right. And he has an entertaining and an electric personality and speaking voice. But you know what, man? Eventually it's like, I'm too tired for that,
Right.
It's just, not anything bad.
So some of my favorite ones, of course, I did always like Dennis Brown on there.
Right.
I think Reed's doing a great job. Chris is a lot of fun. On the NBL side, Corky Sykes used to always do it. And even though he had the craziest accent and a lot of people didn't understand a word he said, but he brought the energy on everything that he said, right? And it was just so much fun. And so it was cool. Like in my turn, I would have him and my brother do it, which balance each other out completely. My brother has a good, clear voice. My brother's a singer and also did a lot of, theater and things as well. So like he understands how to talk in that part. And then Corky brings that energy, right? So those are some of the fun ones that I enjoy. And I'm sure there's others, I think, you got Chris Casamassa that does it at Compete. You got some different ones.
Very good. I actually really like Chris Casamassa's his announcing voice. And that speaking of someone who excelled in theater, Chris Casamassa is the guy who did just that. I think sometimes he would get a little cheesy.
Oh yeah, but you kind of get a little cheesy. Job.
And I'm like, man, you just be entertaining. You don't have to do that. Like, just be entertaining. Crack a little joke, which he would do, and he does. And he's I would say he's pretty good. I love John Worley's voice. I think him, doing it at the Diamond Nationals, that's just something like it would be weird. Wouldn't it be weird to hear somebody else there?
Yeah, it would. It would. Well, that's just that's the legendary, right there. So
there you go.
Joe Cooley was actually always good at it as well. So
because he's done it in so many different areas. He did it not just in tournament karate. He did it on ESPN, both as a fighter and an announcer?
Oh yeah, at Super Grands
Vince
2007,
did?
Vince Johnson was the MC. And actually, another great one was John Marshall. John Marshall always did a great job as well on the MC. So those guys did it together at Super Grands that year. That was a lot of fun. All right, so we got a lot of things to kind of share about best divisions, big winners of the weekend. So let's just go with the junior side. A lot of double Grands winners. Pia won both of hers again this weekend, staying, consistent and focused on winning. Another one, Amanda from Revolution. So Amanda Duarte winning the overall Grands for the 1300 females with her traditional forms of weapons. You also have what Maria was talking about. John won his overall. Carter won his overalls. So both those guys from Amerikick. Noah Sansite from AKA won his weapons overall. A lot of great competitors that won their first maybe grand championships over the weekend. Guys, share those in the comments so we can go from there. Also, Philip Brumet wins 2 Grands this time. You have Caitlin Vaughn, who was up there for 3 different Grands. She won the CMX Forms Grand Championship, got runner-up in the traditional and the weapons one, where Maria won. I won 2 of the senior ones. Tim won that one. We also have Jenica Grinolds, who on her first NASCA tournament ever competing, she wins the 30+ overall grand championship. So that was huge.
I love that happened.
Yeah, so it's really cool, and there was a lot. It was fun to just be able to experience and compete with several people like Andy Campbell, who was very involved in judging and the Kids Kicking Cancer project, and he did a lot of the online tournaments and things and helping run those during COVID. He won, I think, his first overall Forms Grand Championship in the 50+, and Mike Politi won in the 50+. So, I got to compete against Gabrielle's mom, in the finals, Roxanne. So a lot of cool things, Andrew Cabalon competed on stage with me. Also, for the overall traditional forms grand, this guy's just killer. Mason Stowell, won again at this event. So was, as always, an honor to compete against him in the finals for that. And then Rose Roommate, she won, she won the women's traditional forms. So I don't know if I missed anyone. If I did, I apologize, and someone write them in the comments. I'm sure that there were a lot, congrats to the team demo winners, Leclerc's. Maria shared about the wins with the in the team sync. I believe that Mason Stowell and his whole team, the top 10 team, won with their traditional team sync performance. There was a lot of cool things that happened over the weekend. First timers and shows on the form side, right? On the fighting side, it was really cool because there was a lot of different competitors that were winning. The women's overall grand championship was a new person who won, Paola from Venezuela. She won her first women's overall grand championship, won it during the day. Then for the open weight, Katarina came out and won that one over Yamina by 1 point. What was that?
I thought that's like Katarina's thing.
Open weight?
To win open weight. Like she wins a lot of overalls. She does.
Yeah.
We get this.
Yeah.
But so does Katana. And so, and there's a couple other champions that have been sprinkled in this year and last.
Right.
But open weight's kind of like, you can check that box.
Sometimes, yeah.
I wonder who else has won this year besides her.
Katana has won.
There has been some other ones. Yeah, Katana's won. But
Katana's won.
I just feel like, there's a few divisions where you can be like, all right, I got $100. I can only put it on one division. This one feels safe, right?
Right.
Right. I'm not
Guys, put in what divisions were your favorite to watch or the best divisions of the weekend. There
I
was
got some interesting.
a lot of really like just parity and different people winning and even getting in the top 4 in the women's Japanese forms division. So that was a wild one, and it was cool just to see some of the people who went first, second, third get in that top 4. So that was a big difference.
Right.
What were you gonna say?
Yeah, there's definitely some things that the scoring system now has helped us, which is that if you go second in the division, it doesn't mean that like, all right, pretty high chance you're not going to win. All right. Doesn't necessarily mean the case. That's not necessarily the case now.
Right.
Getting a true score, like what is a 9.98, right? That's not a thing anymore, right? Your number is your placement within the division, not how good you were. But I think it's working out. I think we're getting the better end result now than we would have in years past.
I know for me, like getting started with the Korean Challenge division was fun this time. I mean, it always is, but we went all 3 rounds right through, no finals after. So doing it that way is really intense, and so by that last form, and I'm going against William, and I decided to do gay back at the end. Like I was gassed.
What did William Smart do?
What did you say?
What did William Smart do?
Well, he did Kansan. Most, his go-to form. He did Kansan Kon. So he did that. I did Gayback. I did OG in the semis against Cameron Whittington, where he was doing choreo. So, and that was fun and then interesting because we both crossed several times because we were only in a 6x6 ring. So we weren't they didn't put us in a bigger ring like they normally would. So
choreo covers some ground.
Choreo does, and so does OG. OG, like I have to.
That's right.
I have to start on the side because I'm going to go with this way or the other way. And yeah,
David, I agree with you. I am not a fan of side-by-side competition either. You are forced to put both of your eyes on one person, and then you hear the yell, so you turn and you look at the other one, but you heard the yell and then you looked, which means you missed something, and then in the turn of looking, you just missed something. I'm not a fan of it.
You don't have
I'm
to.
not an experienced judge with that.
Yeah, you don't have to do that, dude. I'm telling you,
I'm not
man,
an experienced judge with that. But
I'm
not a fan.
This lady, oh man, this is one of my favorite judges to watch at the AAU Nationals. She's sitting there and she's just literally like the whole time, like freaking like Terminator or something like that, like a freaking cyborg. And it was just like both eyes are boom, boom, boom. But see, for me, if you can teach a martial arts class with 20-something people in there, you can judge 2 people doing their forms at once. Okay, you can do it.
Maybe, but that's the thing. Jeff, I've never seen you
David, and that's okay, but that's my fault for doing that. I wasn't trying to
martial arts class yet. I've got a pretty solid idea. You've never sat down in a
during a martial arts
class you've taught ever.
Maybe.
Because like I think I have the luxury of when I'm teaching of being able to be everywhere and I'm moving and I'm constantly doing this.
Right,
that's what you got to do. Well, that's not what you're
can
doing when you're teaching. Listen, did you ever watch the World Series of Poker when it was on TV?
You just don't listen. Huh?
Did you ever watch the World Series of Poker when it was on TV? I know this is random, but it's going to come full circle.
I did.
There was this guy, Phil Ivey. Do you remember him?
I remember Phil Ivey. That guy was stone cold. He was like the Iceman.
But he had but a reason why I brought him up is because he had these crackhead eyes, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like what you were just saying about this AAU coach. He would just stare here and his eyes would be everywhere looking at everyone, but his head would never move. He'd just be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And his mouth would always be wide open like he's catching flies, but his eyes are moving a million miles an hour. Like he's like high off something. And people are like, dude, what's wrong with you, crackhead? But he was one of the best champions. He was noticing everything about everyone around him.
Right.
Maybe that's the thing. If you want to be a great coach when you're doing this, do a
The
little
other
crack.
thing,
Who knows?
the thing is to possibly put the two, do it, mimic AAU again, and put the two corner judges in the front corners and have the center in the back, straight in the back. That's what they do at AAU. And I think that kind of helps a little bit. But also, again, who says that you have to just sit there and be this? You could be moving and moving just like that. And that's,
Well,
what I always
I don't know. Is there a rule against that?
No, there's no rules against that.
Because
Because I mean, that's the way I always judged
Wait a
watching
minute.
traditional forms growing like in NBL. I always was moving, looking at their feet and doing things like that.
Do you have to stay seated as a judge? This is a legit question. I don't know this. Can you just get up?
Yeah. I don't know.
Like if
I think
if I'm judging you, can I just get up and move? Can I do that and watch from a different angle?
I don't think it's not in there. I'm pretty sure it's not in there.
Might be something to bring up.
It wasn't in the rules. You had to sit down. It was just this. It just said where they were seated or where they were placed. So, but yeah,
I would love to see. I don't know if it's going to turn out well, but I'd love to see what it would look like.
Right. All right. So let's get into some of the best division fight. I was hoping Jermond was going to join us. Hadn't heard back from him. He came up to me and said, "Man, I have a lot to say about some of these divisions." Again, like I said, my weekend was just packed and full of competing and everything. So, yeah, that would be the talk of the ring, Leandro. You're right. So some of the best fights of the weekend. So I know for me, watching the open weights were insane, were great. On Friday evening, the women's open weight, they took the top 4 in each one, right? So women's open weight came down to Paola versus Yamina, and then Savannah versus Katarina, which again, that was another last second fight, overtime fight between Savannah and Katarina to make it to the finals. Savannah ties it up the end with a 2-point kick, and it's 5-5. Next one wins, and Katarina turns it on and hits her with the back with the hands with the back fist. And man, that fight, I mean, just imagine you have one of your hardest fights going on stage, and then you go to school, to the karate school, and you fight that same person the next day, right? Or 2 days later, right?
I know exactly what that's like.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. And then, like you're trying to beat that person, and you see them every day at the school,
Yeah. I did that. What was it? It was AKA 05, right? Shit, that was a while ago, right?
Yeah.
And
almost 20 years.
Ross Levine has mentioned this many times. It was his first national tournament as an adult, and I messed up his perfect weekend, right? That's what he says. So I'm Team NK, and I'm the only representative there. We're like the number 1 team, but we don't like. Greg just joined Paul Mitchell, so he's gone. BJ tore his ACL. He's gone. Jamie Cravens isn't there. All right. And Hamid just left and went to WKF. And I'm like, hey guys, how's it going? And Ross Levine is like, hey, I'm going to do this thing. Let's go grab this other Canadian and let's do team fights. Cool. We go through, but I have a dislocated elbow from the weekend before, but I'm dumb and I'm 24 years old, so I'm gonna fight, right? And Jeff, promise this was my mentality. I'm like, if Alex Lane isn't here, I'm the best kicker in this building.
Right.
I think I got this, right? That's dumb. Don't ever do this, right? So I do this, and I have to fight Hamid in the final. Hamid beats me by 1, and we lose, and I screwed up. The thing, but then we got to go back to and then that's the thing. You know how long I had to hear that for? I had to hear that for the next like 4 months.
Right.
Until we really were at a tournament notable to see like who's going to come out and perform better, that really mattered. Right. It sucked. It sucked big time.
Yeah.
What, man?
So Brett just says Tyreek versus Tyson down to the last second. Those are always great fights. Tyreek fought great this weekend. The team fight on stage was straight up and top 10 USA. Another big thing was Roland Veras coming back and being there to fight. So that was cool, and winning the lightweight overall. So that was pretty sweet.
People don't understand about Roland Veras is he's not like Richie Veras. Everybody kind of looks at in that light because he's beat so many great people. He's very good. Richie, his older brother. Richie's beat Jack Felton kind of at the Irish Open. He beat him, but anybody who has 2 eyes and watch that goes. Yeah. Say what?
Yeah. No, nothing. Go ahead.
Yeah, anybody who has 2 eyes and watch that goes, Jack got robbed, right? But he's beaten a lot of great people. I watched him beat Roman Brundle, right? And Roman's got 2.5 feet on him, right? Yeah. So like
he's one of my favorite fighters,
which is good. Roland, I think might be more talented.
Roland's had just as many big wins too, though. Like that's what's crazy, And
Roland can play the game, man. Roland will study the rules, and he will study. Roland is a studier, and he will figure you out. He will pick you apart. He will piss you off, and then beat you. And the guy's fast. It's not like he's a scrub and is just figuring out the rules. No, he's good. He's really good.
Yeah, he's really good. Also, you have a lot of what's the guy's Demetrios. He won his first NASCAR first place. I think he finally got over the beating Devin, and over that hump. But the fight I didn't see the fight with Darren and Mason Bumba, but I saw parts of the fight with Cam and Mason Bumba for the overall grand. And that was intense. And that was back and forth. And, Cam just looked on point, man. He just when you think, okay, maybe he's going to go down a little bit, or maybe he just can't go against this new type of fighter. Nope. This dude just keeps getting better every time. And again, like what we said, man, he's got a great attitude. I love anytime like people, there's certain people I go to. I don't go to too many people for advice or just a little, hey, what about this move or what about this? I do that with Cam because he's going to give me a great, honest answer. And he's a Korean martial artist and he knows all the forms, every single form that I know. Right. And so
I think you said it. He's going to give you an honest answer. Like,
he's going to give me an honest answer.
When I told him when he was on the show, and I said, man, I remember like I was dialed in. I was excited to judge, and I knew I had to take this thing serious. And when you were in there, I knew I had a better sense of like I better really make sure I get this right. And live on the show, he checked me, right? And he's like, listen, if me being in there makes you judge better because I might have a status of something, all right? What about the rest of the guys? It's essentially what he said. And I'm like, damn.
Right.
Yeah, great point, Cam.
Yeah, Brett says, and Cam was down for most of that fight, never panicked, just slowly worked his way back and took in the last 15 seconds of the second round. Yeah, it was impressive. So,
can I say something about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I want to say this thing first before I make my take, because I'm about to make a take. Okay?
Okay.
But before I make this take, I want to say Cam Dodson, Avery Plowden. We still acknowledge it's these two. They're the best. If you're over X amount of weight, you find yourself on the middleweight or heavyweight side. Nobody's touching these two. It's those two. They compete to see who's the best.
Right.
And I'm not knocking Christian Rivas, Mason Bumba, Alex Macias. I'm not knocking anybody like that.
Yeah.
You're just not the champion that Cam Dawson and Avery Plowden are. They are the champions until someone beats them consistently, right? Enough to be like, no, you are the guy, right? And so far, those two are the guy. Now here's my take. If those two aren't there, okay, this is going to be hot, right? You ready for this? If those two aren't there, we're going to take these two. We're going to give them the Michael Jordan rule. Like when you're talking about basketball, you don't really talk about like, oh, who's the best at this? You can't say Michael Jordan. That's cheating, right? Boom. Put those two to the side. The best heavyweight in the world right now is Ross Cook. And everybody's going to look at me like I'm freaking nuts because nobody's seen him in like 5 years. I'm telling you.
Right, but you can't say. All right, whatever.
I
say what
said
you
it.
want to say.
I said it. Right? Now, there's a reason I'm saying this. I know you're scratching your head like, Alex, you're about to take some heat. I know it. I know I'm going to take some heat.
I know.
Listen, this is not something that I've just come to the conclusion of. All right. I was literally having this conversation this weekend. Yeah. Okay. People don't understand how much of an answer they would not have for this guy. All right. It is insane how good he is. Right. Now, the reason I brought him up is Mason Bumba does remind me a little bit of Ross.
Okay.
He does remind me a little bit of Ross. Now, there's some things that Ross does much better than Mason. And then there's some things that Mason does much better than Ross. But dude, we all remember Mason when Mason was in like the 12, 13-year-old division trying to in the shorter, right?
Right.
This dude's taller than everyone now. He's got to be like what, 6'3", right?
Right. Yeah. He's tall.
Yeah. Tall, long, strong, powerful, athletic. It makes sense that he would have been in a match for the grand championship and was winning, right? It makes sense, right? He's got all the skill. Yeah. He's got all the athleticism. He's got all the power. And he's got all the experience. Yes, there's more experience to be had once you're on the adult side of things, but he's no rookie. He's been in this game, I would say, probably a decade. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
definitely.
that means something. Yo.
Yeah.
Mason Bumba, I think, is so versatile. And I'm going to say this right now because this team fighting, what in the world happened this weekend with all of the matchups? What in the wild world of sports went on with that? I don't even think Mason fought in team fights.
Probably not. I mean, that's what I was just going to say. Like, if you have that team and you're only going to field one team, I mean, that's a lot of talent to put on one team. I mean, it's a lot of choices, right?
Yo.
You got Tyreek, you got Mason Bumba, you got Martin, you got Demetrios, you got Roland Bears now. So just those five. Then there's a couple others as well. Like, that's insane.
You know who I would have put if I was only going to put one team? It's Tyreek, Roland, and Mason. Rest of you guys. You know what? In other sports, if you're on a team, they have this. Why don't we just do this in our sport, in our game, right? Like, okay, my brother was a wrestler. I didn't wrestle. And the main reason why I didn't, and listen, wrestling in Minnesota was really freaking hard to do. Okay.
Yes.
Like, And we were at the best wrestling school in the state, right?
Right.
So, and a lot of guys were like, Alex, you'd be really good. You got that karate thing. You could be
Yeah, yeah.
good, you know? Like, oh, okay. All right. And Jeff, I know you're pretty good, right? So I'm like,
I was
okay.
okay. I was yeah. I wouldn't even
And
say I
that's
was
all
good.
I
I was
was.
okay.
But I never really did it.
Yeah.
I went to
Right.
one practice, right? And then went, okay, guys. Coach was actually, who was also my math teacher, which was nutty, right? He was literally one of the best wrestling coaches in the history of the state of Minnesota. Who was also my
Nice.
geometry teacher. Nuts. Mr. Dahlberg, right? So anyway, he said, practice is going to be, kid you not, this is the timing, he said, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. And I went, oh, wait a minute. So for the whole season? He's like, yeah. And I go, so I won't get to do karate for the whole season, essentially. And he's like, oh, I mean, I guess, yeah, this is what you're going to do. And I go, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
out.
That's where
See ya.
I had to stop because I was getting ankle problems and injuries right before Super Grands, right? And so at that time, we were
And I
we were
might be
doing
exaggerating all the way to 8
tournament.
p.m. It might have only
Yeah.
been like
No,
6:30 or 7. But the
well,
moment
see,
he
we
said
worked
that,
out. We
I'm
worked
like,
out
I'm good.
in the morning and after school. So it was
Yeah,
it was
actually, no.
insane. And then when the school was closed because of like snow and stuff, we still had practice. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things. Um,
But
there's
here,
two
but
more.
wait, I didn't finish my
Hold on.
thought. But even then, like if
Okay.
let's say what was one of your weights? Like if you had a weight of like 135, right? And you're on the
I
team.
was lighter than that. Yeah.
Okay, let's say
Yeah.
125.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
125. But there's
you
somebody
had
else
wrestle, right?
who wants to like there's a meet coming up next week, right? Next Friday, there's a meet, and you want to wrestle varsity. You gotta beat that guy to
Yep.
be on the team.
To
But
be
that's
on that.
the
Yeah.
thing. It's like, okay,
Right.
I'm a whatever weight. Okay. I want to beat this guy to be on the team. Why can't we do that? And I'm gonna be straight. If Mason creates matchup problems for everybody, right? And I don't
Right.
necessarily think that top 10 realizes what they have in this guy. Or maybe it's just that, you know what? We're going to let these guys have it. They've been more consistent this year. I don't know what their rationale was, but not having Mason fight in team fights doesn't make one lick of sense. Yo,
Well,
if straight up,
Alex, who
what?
won the team fighting? Who were the winners of the team fighting?
That's not the point.
That is the point. They won.
No, it's not the
They
point.
won. So that is the point. That's
Listen.
that's the point that you're not getting.
No,
They still won. They won. Okay, so they did create bad matchups,
a
and
a
their
dead
team
clock is right
creates bad
twice a day.
matchups for everybody, huh?
A dead clock is right twice a day.
Well, okay, but listen, they've
listen.
been pretty successful.
If straight up can pick up this dude who looks like he works at Jiffy Lube, right? And they somehow win, why can't Mason Bumba fight?
Yeah, but they didn't win the whole. That team didn't win.
But they should have lost right away.
Oh well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I know that one. Yeah. Oh man, that guy Ryan, that dude is cool, man. That guy
Isn't that funny
listens to our
though? I said that he does look like
listens
he
to our
works at
show.
Jiffy Lube.
Dude, that guy is gigantic. All right, that dude is so
But
tall.
doesn't he though?
I
Next time you go get
I
your oral
talked to
change,
him.
you're gonna be like, Alex was right. Look at all these guys. They look just like that guy.
Bro, talking to him about how much flights are for him from Newfoundland to get anywhere, it's insane.
Where's Newfoundland?
It's somewhere like way east. They have their own time zone, okay? Like
What?
that's it's
It's
Canada,
the
but
furthest
it's not
east
even,
part of Canada or something?
yeah, it's not yeah. It's like for him to get here was like $1,000 or something like that. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
I
bro.
almost shot that out. I'm glad I didn't. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
So he's more east than the East Coast time zone?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's an hour ahead of you?
I believe so. Yeah. An hour ahead of me.
That's
Yeah.
he'll never be on the show.
Dude, he listens to our show all the time, man. So
I mean,
it's pretty
hey,
cool.
shout outs to you, brother. I'm glad. Congratulations on being on the team. But you're gonna have to stay up way late to catch this show live.
Oh man. Oh, also, sorry. I knew I was gonna. It's crazy because these are the two that I wrote down. I actually featured them on our advertisement for the show. One
Yep.
thing that they didn't do, and again, the show was still long, but it was nice that it started early. Was they're having to cut some things out, and unfortunately, adult traditional weapons, keeps getting cut out. But I want to give a big shout out to DG for winning the men's traditional weapons, and also Melina Pecci for winning her first overall. And she won the women's weapons grant, actually over who was on earlier, Maria. So Melina's going to be on the extra scoop next week with Peyton and I, and talking about her first win from the weekend and just her rise in the sport and where she's from as well in Florida. So congrats to her. Congrats to DG. They had a great weekend as well. So yeah, David Clifton, you're right. He did continuous. Okay, so this freaking 6'8", 6'9", I don't know.
Yeah, how tall is the guy?
I'm not sure. He said he was so nice to other people, even being that much bigger than everybody, right?
Yo,
Which,
listen,
I don't know if Joe like that. I don't think Joe Greenhall would appreciate that though. Joe's probably
I don't think that's
being
why
so
it's like,
nice. Kill him. Yeah.
listen, there's a saying called Minnesota nice. Okay. And that is a
Yes.
real thing where like all right, where you meet people and you're just overly nice. Okay. Canadians blow this out of the water. Like
Yeah.
everyone that's in the Twin Cities area, everyone either has a cabin, someone who has a cabin, like one of your family members has a cabin, or you got invited to one, right? And when you go there's two types of north. I think I've said this before on the show. There's up north, which means that's where you're going. You're going to the lake. You're going up north, right? Or you're going over north. Over north means you're going to the hood, okay? So up north, when you go up north, I'm not, dude, North Minneapolis is the hood. But anyway, when you go up north, this is where the Minnesota Nice goes outrageous, right? People will literally be upset at you. You cannot drive down a country dirt road without waving you could be inside your car. You have to wave from inside your car to the people. They might be driving by. They could be standing outside getting their mail. You got to wave. That's the thing. Or they're on their riding lawnmower because they have 67 acres of land when they're up there.
That's funny.
And they would be upset that you didn't wave. And you're like, I don't know you. As you might be able to tell,
Yeah.
I didn't take on the Minnesota Nice personality, right? But Canadians, dude, they blow that out of the water.
They do. The whole part.
It's nutty.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
What
Also,
Canadian isn't overly nice? There's some that we know, but they all speak French. So maybe they're nice that we just don't know.
That's funny. I mean, I know some Canadians that are really nice, but then they're not nice when they fight. Like
that's okay. Like Trevor Nash.
Trevor, yeah, you knew
you're going to be afraid of him, right?
All right. So, congrats as well to the overall champions. Congrats to Kevin Walker. He won the overall 30-plus fighting title, I believe. The open weight again, Katarina, and then open weight for the men, third year in a row, Bailey Murphy. Congrats to him, but also congrats to the Liker family, the Russo family. Everyone that's involved in Amerikick. Was really cool to be there, be a part of that. It was a cool weekend for me as well as they, while I'm there competing and stuff, the police announced that I will be in their Hall of Fame for the Toronto. So that was pretty sweet to get that announcement and everything. So it was just an overall great weekend. And then it finished up us going and watching the fight, watching the UFC fight where Israel Adesanya lost. DDP is still the world champ. There was a lot of good fights. The Dan Hooker fight was awesome. And, so that was fun. And it's crazy going to watch like a fight like that in a casino where like you're watching everything. And then people the whole time are just talking about, oh, I'm about to go put a bet on this. I'm going to go like literally they're in the facility where all this is happening. And then they do it. And then right next, like behind us, there's all these high rollers sitting in these seats, just staring at like horse racing and stuff. Like it's wild, right? But again, Amerikick, a great event, fun event. A lot of great places to eat and walk around. So it's a great facility. Yeah, guys, if anybody else has more comments to put about your weekend, you can do it now or after the show's over, but continue to talk about it. Yeah, overall, great event.
Hey, I got what's your take?
Okay.
So it's different. It's about life.
Oh,
And I'm just curious.
Okay.
And I want to know the insider's opinion as well, because we're all from different areas of the country.
Mhm.
So I took the kids to their first real baseball game on Friday.
Oh,
Right.
Okay.
And it's a county league. It's lower tier, right? Tickets were $10 type of thing. Okay.
Great. I love it.
We didn't go to the Cubs. We didn't go see the Southside Bombers. We're not doing that. Right. So we went to the Kane County Cougars. Right. That's where we went to go see. And I don't know if they have things like this where you're at. Right. I was talking to my uncle, and he's not that far from you. And he's like, dude, we love going to minor league stuff. It's the best. Right.
Yeah.
So we go there, and I want to know, what's your take, man? What's your take on minor league hockey, baseball, basketball? There is no such thing as minor league football. I guess that would just be college,
There is.
which is like basically professional.
No, we have a minor league football team, and we have a minor league baseball team.
Wait, what's your minor league football team? That's a real thing?
Yeah, it's just Lynchburg has a minor league football team. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, because it just depends on if they can get enough players.
Stop.
Yeah.
So wait. Time out. Are you saying that just someone could be like,
Hey, I'm
I
gonna
can
go play.
tight end?
Yes.
Wait, Jeff, are you saying you could be like, guys, why don't you just have me be the kicker?
I think so.
Jeff, why don't you do this then?
I'm not doing that.
Why?
I ain't got time for all that.
Jeff,
We
it's
just talked
not
about how many-
I don't even
We
think it's
just
about
talked
time.
about how
It's
many different
totally
hats that I
changing.
wear, right?
No, I don't. This is a hat, but Jeff, this is a hat that like nobody, like you actually could wear, that I will never be able to wear this type of hat. And the chances of me ever wearing this hat would have been impossible. Are you telling me you could really do this?
I think so. Yeah, I have to look into it. I'll get more information. Okay, I'll get more information.
Go run a route.
But yeah, so minor league baseball, I agree. So I did my internship for a minor league baseball team, internship in college.
What did you do? What was it for? Like what did
Pretty much
you do
everything.
as an intern?
Like, so it was my degree was in like sports management, sports administration. So
Okay.
I was just there selling tickets. I was there doing things where I went on the field and did on the mic and getting people, fun events every inning. I was, making sure that the field was right. When it rained, I was rolling the
You were
tarp
rolling the mat out.
out there, the mat out. I was making sure all the balls were signed by all the team. I had to actually dress up as the mascot, which was a crawdad.
Wow.
I had to do that. I made appearances on the weekends as the crawdad. So I went to like a Michaels or like a AC Moore and signed autographs and danced and did the Macarena and stuff with people. Yeah. So yeah, there was a lot of things like that. Yeah. So pretty much everything. All right. So listen, my first day on the job as an intern. So granted, I only had to do, I think I had to do 90 hours of work, right? For my internship to graduate, to finish up my things, right? I think it was 90 hours. It might have been 120. Either way, it didn't matter. I got that done in 2 weeks. Like the first day I go there, and I'm there from 9 until like 1 in the morning or something. Like it was insane because baseball games, you never know when the heck they're going to end. And they used us so much as interns. They used us to clean the whole thing. They used us to do everything. Okay. We had to clean all the suites. We did every single thing in that. So I learned a lot, but I also learned I don't want to work in minor league baseball again. So some weekends. So what was cool though was that the place where I was at, the Hickory Crawdads, right? They were a part of the Pittsburgh Pirates. So the Hickory Crawdads, all right? They were a part of the Pirates. Yeah, so they were a part of the Pirates franchise. They were a single A team, and then the next one up was another single A, which was the Lynchburg Hillcats, which was from where I was at. So Andrew McCutcheon was there. It was
Hillcats.
The Hillcats.
What's a Hillcat?
A Hillcat is like a cat in the hill, like a bobcat, they're called the Hillcats.
Oh, okay.
We have cats, so they're just random cats in the hills. So, anyways, wild cats. And so, Andrew McCutcheon was there his like rookie year, right? Andrew McCutcheon became a great. I think he still plays, but amazing. So he was there, and anytime anyone was going to get moved up, while I was there, I would take him up because I knew how to get there. I knew where it was, and then I got a time to just chill out and hang out with my family for a free trip. Yeah, the names are crazy of the minor league baseball teams, right? But so yeah, like Brett was saying, it's so much fun, right? They go there, they have fun.
Oh, it was. I know.
We would have karaoke. They would do $2 beer nights. They would do, some people would just come and just hang out instead of going to the club, they would go there, right? And same thing. We would do that all the time when I was in my 20s, we would do that. So,
listen,
minor league baseball is fun.
We're gonna my family
football
is fun.
Back. Oh yeah, you got to.
Yeah, many times.
There's what else is there? We said I've gone to minor league hockey. There's that in Salem and in Roanoke, which is about an hour away. We have college hockey here, which is Liberty's, pretty big on that. But I don't think I've ever gone to like one of I think Roanoke has a D League team for basketball, but I've never done that. So yeah, lots of fun stuff. G League. Yeah, whatever. G League. I thought it was D League.
It is D, but they call because it's sponsored by Gatorade, so they call it the G League.
Listen, obviously, I don't know anything.
D League was called the Developmental League.
Yeah,
but
the D League.
Now, since Gatorade sponsors it, they call it the G League for basketball. So, listen, out here, we're blessed. We have a plethora of options. So, yeah, there's pro sports like the Cubs, the Sox, the Bulls, the Blackhawks, the Bears. And all of those are at the top of the top like tickets and experiences and
Right.
things like
Right.
you get to go see Wrigley Field in the summer, Chicago North Side in the summer. The history of the South Side Bombers, like all of this
See,
stuff.
that's what's cool
But
about like that area, that DC area and the
yeah,
Maryland area. There's so many professional things that you can go see there, and even their soccer stadium is really cool. The
but here's what's comparable,
DC
Jeff. I want to make what's
nice.
comparable to where I'm at and to where you're at. Okay, let's say you're gonna go to, I don't even know what they're called now, but what was formerly a Redskins game. Okay. How
Yeah,
far
the
is that
Canadian
from you? How far is that?
3 hours, a little over 3 hours.
Heck no. Right?
It's not bad.
Your
I did it. I
concept
did it.
of time for just a sports game is crazy. Right? Anyway.
I did that last year. I went there to take my kids to see Chelsea. I didn't even go for football. We went to see Chelsea play soccer, and it was actually we got to see two games. Yeah, at FedEx Field. Yeah,
Oh,
and then the month
hold on.
before that, we went to DC for an MLS game, which was actually that was more fun.
Wait a minute. I can't believe what I just heard. You drove 3.5 hours one way and then paid, I don't know, probably $40 to park. Or was it more?
Yeah, that was the worst. Yeah, parking was pretty bad.
To go watch made up football
Made up
where
football.
you can't touch anybody. And not even like, oh, I went to go do that. You went to go watch some Englishmen who happen to be here. So stuff that doesn't even matter.
Hey, it's a rare time to get to see them. So yeah, I mean, listen,
Yeah,
I'm
you know
not
what?
a huge fan, but
If
the
if
kids
a
are.
Beatles cover band was in town, yeah, that's a rare experience too. Doesn't make it a
It's
good
not the same
idea.
thing. It's not the same thing. It's not the same
Yo,
thing.
I don't get this stuff. But anyway, well, here's what I was getting at. All right. So we have all of those things, right? All these awesome pro sports. And but if I want to go see the Cubs, that way I would have to want to do that, number one, right? It's gonna be an hour and a half to get there, right? It's not really an hour and a half from Elgin to the north side of Chicago. It's probably 35 minutes drive, but with traffic and what I got to do, it's gonna be over an hour for sure, right? Then I gotta park. Then you got to do all of that. And the Cubs, dude, I'm gonna tell you, the Cubs baseball experience sucks because they're just a bunch of kids, right? Who are 23, who are just drenched head to toe with beer, right? And then you know what? They drink old style beer. You don't even know what that is because they only make it here, right? And it's just they just think it's fantastic. It's not, right? And then you just go home. This is horrible. After this horrible experience, now I just go home. So we have all these minor league teams here. So I'm not kidding. 10 minutes from my house, the Windy City Bulls play. I can go there.
That's fun.
My boy doesn't even know what basketball is yet. Why am I going to go take him to the Bulls? How about let's see if he can fall in love with the game first. You know what I mean? I grew up in a different
that's
time.
why I think going to college sports is fun too.
I grew up in a different time. I was pretty fortunate, right?
Yeah.
If I went to the Minnesota Gophers basketball or hockey game back then, there's a big freaking ticket. And the Timberwolves, they just in 1989, 1990, 1990. That's when they started as a basketball team.
Right.
So when I was in junior high, they were giving tickets away, you know?
Well, I mean,
we'd buy the cheapest possible ticket and then we'd walk all the way down to the third row.
Because we would drive down to Charlotte when they first opened, first started as well, the Hornets. And that was 3.5 hours as well, for that, right? But I mean, the only time that I would
Mm,
travel that
man.
far for a minor league would probably be 2 hours, maybe 2 hours
Yeah.
for Durham Bulls. And why? Because it's Durham Bulls. You know who that is, right? From the movie Bull
It
Durham, right?
sounds
So, like,
familiar.
yeah, so you ever seen the movie Bull Durham with Kevin Costner?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the real life team, and so that's like a big thing, and they always had they had the ACC baseball tournament there as well. So it's kind of a cool spot. So sometimes you could go and catch that,
Okay.
which is fun.
All right.
But
Um,
yes, are we almost done?
well,
We
yeah,
just
probably,
kind of
essentially.
yeah.
Dude,
All right. So listen, there
I
is
thought I
one
was gonna
rule.
have a different. I wanted to hear your take about going to minor league sports. Like, do you think it's worth it? And
Yes,
apparently, you think it's so worth it. You'll spend your entire day from breakfast to like go to bed, where there's one sporting event. Dude, I'm gonna tell you.
no,
And
no,
here's
no,
this
no,
is
no. That
how
was because that was my job, and that was like the worst job.
well, yeah. But listen, I felt like I was like, I'm winning. So we get to the game. This is on Friday. And I listen to me. I'm there and I'm trying to like watch what's going on with Sport Karate. And I got 3 kids with me at the same time. So for those of you guys who are like, how did you not see? Shut what they call the heck up, you know? So I'm still trying the best I can, you know? Anyway,
Oh yeah.
we get there and they say, hey, the first however many people in the gates get an American Girl doll. Now, my 7-year-old daughter, I'm like, you don't
Whoa.
understand. Like an American Girl doll, it's like,
Yeah,
I don't know if you
insane.
remember when like Tickle Me Elmo came out. They're essentially
Yeah,
that,
it's like that.
right?
Yeah, I
So
know.
they
I get
lied. They weren't actually giving an American Girl doll.
what?
They were giving an American Girl doll outfit.
Oh,
So, oh,
okay.
here she can look like cowgirl American Girl doll or whatever she looked like. This is
Right.
my daughter Louisa, who is the voice of the opening of Inside Scoop, which is so funny,
Yeah.
right? She straight up, as soon as they hand it to her, she goes, "Where's the doll?" Right to his face, and he realizes like, I know this sucks. Nothing I can do. Here you go.
Yeah.
You know, and she's just like, yeah, I get that, but where's the doll? You know, I was like, yes, this is awesome. I'll get you a doll. Don't worry about it. You know?
Yeah.
So we get in there right away. We do all this stuff, and they have no idea what happened to the game. And then, of course, like if I'm gonna get tickets, like I'm gonna get the best tickets that I can get, you know, that we can afford. So I'm sitting in the second row right behind home plate. This is cool, right?
Yeah. It is fun.
So here's what my kids remember. They remember that there was a foul ball that landed like 4 seats from us, and they lost their mind when they were like, as they watched the ball go all the way up over the net, bounce. They were like, "Oh my gosh!" Me, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, someone almost died." You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
I mean, they didn't even none of that. They don't need to care about all that stuff. They remember that the foul ball landed right next to them, and the other foul balls went over the roof. Right. That's all they
Right.
care about. They're like, this is cool. And I got to get Dippin' Dots ice cream and I got to go in the bouncy house. That's all they care
All right.
about.
Did they go to the bouncy house, or did they also go to the carousel? Was there a carousel at yours?
No carousel. There
Yeah,
was
they have
like
a
4
carousel.
bouncy houses. No.
Yeah, they have a carousel at the one that I worked at, and that was one of the first
That's
things
cool.
I had to do. I had to
You
do
did a
was
merry-go-round, right?
yeah, I worked at the carousel for my first couple of games.
Wait, when you say carousel, you mean merry-go-round, right?
Sure. I mean, they get on the horse and they go around. Yeah. So,
That's a merry-go-round.
all right, whatever. I guess the carousel's the one that goes up this way, right?
It's Ferris
No.
wheel.
That's fair. So, yeah, so a carousel. Yeah, that's what it is. It's a carousel. Merry-go-round is like one that you go on a playground. It's like a small little one.
6-1, half dozen the other.
Whatever. All right. Anyways. Oh my gosh. All right.
Look at
Anyways,
mom's
so
even laughing.
carousel. Yeah, we're both right.
Your mom's telling us we're both right.
Yeah, it's a
Hey,
carousel.
they might be the only two listeners
same
right
thing.
now. That's
It's
funny.
the same thing. We're arguing about what name it is. Wow.
Yo, Brett mentioned something like, hey, you should look at the different names. I think the most famous minor league baseball team is probably the Bananas, right?
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you know about the Bananas?
Yeah.
They're the team that, like, when they're in the outfield and they play in the team and they're at home and the team plays the song, like they do like a dance. The whole
Right.
outfield does, and then the pitcher
does,
throws the
yeah.
ball. All right. Dude, the Bananas are so popular that at this game I'm at, there's people wearing Bananas jerseys.
Wow.
You
That's
can't make
crazy.
it up. You can't make it up.
So I know that there's a lot of what was the one? The Rough Riders. That's like the Austin Rough Rider or the Texas Rough Rider. I think that's like maybe it's an arena league team or it's I'm trying to remember, but that was one of the teams I looked at into getting a job with. But they were like they were either like a minor league football team or an arena league team. But yeah, there was a lot of cool names that people had. So, all right. Well, anyways, there is a rule that I want to talk about next week that we'll have to that kind of came up, and we won't have time because we will get into a crazy debate on this. So we will talk about it next week. And the rule that kind of came up that is something to do with where we heard earlier this year about the rule being implemented. Well, not implemented, but actually finally enforced in individual. But no one ever realized that there was never. What's the actual enforcement? Well, what's the actual enforcement of it in teams? Because it changes everything, right? So yeah. So there we go. So that'll be next week.
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. See you guys next week.